All right. Well, happy Wednesday to anybody who ends up showing up here. Just figured do a quick little Q&A, kind of kill some time, have a good old morning. Why not? Don't expect a lot as per usual. Maybe have a little news for anybody who does show up. And if not, that's fine. Was trying to get our old buddy Pat Auger on here, but we were having some technical difficulties. So he will maybe or maybe not return. And if anybody does want to join in and chat for a little bit, and feel free to do so. I mean, hit me up, of course, then I can let you on in. If you would like, here on the StreamYard platform at DrakeRiggs _ right there on Twitter. But usually when I've been doing these things, at least the last time, it was as a preemptive effort to hype things up for today's Between the Links, as the champ is back. The champ will be defending once again today, and once again against Mr. Mishu, unless there is a surprise triple threat element thrown in, which I'm not so sure about just yet. But either way, not even surprised anymore. Just how it goes sometimes. So it should be a good old time. So tune into that. MMAfighting.com's YouTube channel at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So that'll be 2 hours from now. And yeah, so that should be a good old time. And as for the other stuff that we could talk about today, I mean, I know I have the MMA label on the thumbnail, but I just kind of like these to be straight up hangouts, talking about whatever, since this is just a for fun thing. And no one's here yet, so I don't know if I want to get rolling too much, and hopefully at least one person could show up. That's why it was going to be nice if Pat did, but hey, that's all right. I can ramble to myself. I'm pretty good at that every now and then. For the replay watchers, I mean, it's kind of the season of trilogies right now. When you look at it, I remember, what year was it? Like 2015, 2014, 15, around then. So quite some time ago. But there was all the trilogies coming out, at least in the video game world. There was Fallout 3. No, not Fallout. No, it was the 4s. Excuse me. The quadrilogies. Then there was Fallout 4. There was Gears 4. There was another one. I don't remember which one, but those were the two big ones for me, obviously. And now, we have Bayonetta 3 was yesterday with its release date, which is exciting. I mean, I really did like the two Bayonetta games, the first two. And they are probably the most exercise I've ever gotten playing a video game. They really work out your hands. They're very fun. They're very hard to follow because there's so much lore that goes into those games, but they are very fun in terms of the action and fighting that goes along with them. So I will probably end up getting that game because they are a joy. But man, the second one in particular might have been just because of the Switch controller, but worked the shit out of my hands. Like, it was sore after some sessions. But yeah, so that's Bayonetta 3. And then The Boys Season 3 just wrapped up. Barry Season 3, which we talked about a little bit last time. That was some good stuff there. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit. I mean, I can talk about whatever I want, but I would love to know what you guys want to think about or talk about. As Chaz Kim is here, good to see you, sir. Says good afternoon. Any news? Good afternoon to you as well. Good morning. Any news on Ryzen posting the recent event vids to YouTube? Are they going to keep everything behind a paywall? Now, that is the plan. That is the idea, Chaz. Everything will be under the Ryzen Stream Pass roof going forward. So I would not expect any fights to be on YouTube anymore. If you did catch, shameless plug, the last episode of Broad Horizon episode 16, Shingo and I talked about that at the end of the show. So if you want to hear more about it from the man himself, head on over there, mmania.com. Broad Horizon episode 16. Great lineup too. So just watch it. Just give it a watch. So yeah, everything will be on Stream Pass now. That is the plan. They're not quite sure exactly what kind of stuff they'll be doing for YouTube. Stuff to push maybe in the direction there. And what was I going to say? I was surprised to see that they put not the full fight of Hiramoto and Suzuki on there, but yeah, I didn't watch that video because I saw the actual fight, but interesting move. As some people said, it cuts off before the third round, so that's kind of weird. Yeah. So JSJ23, good to see you. So thoughts on Dana gifting that $250,000 to Kyle Forgard, the Nelk boy, who I am not really familiar with him outside of being an Elk Boy guy, which they came so out of nowhere, in my opinion. Like, I knew who Bob Menery was, but he wasn't with them originally. And he's actually funny. I don't really find the other guys too funny, like Steve will do it and whatnot. Sometimes they have their moments, but I don't know, don't have any interest there from what I've seen, and I don't care enough to pursue. But anyway, thoughts on Dana gifting the 250? Pretty hilarious. A pretty big kick in the nards to all the fighters, even though it's clearly Dana's personal money. And in cash makes it even more interesting rather than, there's many ways you can give people money these days, whether it's through just sending it virtually or cryptocurrency, whatever you're into. And Chris Cyborg actually had a good point about it the other day. She said, we wouldn't even be talking about this if it was in crypto or something, because it's that visual. You're seeing him with these fat stacks of cash that makes it all the more like, what the fuck? So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, but hey, I guess Dana can do whatever he wants, obviously, with his own money. But yeah, pretty big slap in the face to the fighters, and I think they're justifiably a little upset there. So yeah. Moise, good to see you. Howdy. Hope you are well. Yes, hope you're well too. Appreciate it. I'm doing pretty good. It is, it has been quite a year for me in every aspect, professionally, personally, and I'm right at that middle point, just in the year, literally, but with everything as well, to where this should be a great end of the year. I'm very optimistic. And it's a good time at the moment, just kind of shifting gears in some ways. So I feel good. I feel happy. The heart is full for the most part. So I am doing good. I'm glad that I can say that too. So thank you. I hope you're well as well, Moise. Always good to hear from you. And there's my guy, Mr. Joseph, says now that Jensen Ackles killed it as Soldier Boy, you will finally watch all 15 seasons of Supernatural. I'm sure the characters are quite different, though, Joe. I mean, Soldier Boy all the characters in The Boys, most of them anyway, are likable pieces of shit, right? Like, Homelander is a rapist and a terrible person, but you can't not like him because it's a ridiculous character, kind of that sort of element. And I mean, Anthony Starr is just phenomenal. Like, I think after The Boys is done, I think he's going to get some serious movie roles. He's been mostly a TV guy since in his career so far, I would say, at least from what I've seen him in. He did Banshee. I know that was kind of the other big thing, but I mean, give that man some big time roles. He's a great actor, and he's a New Zealander, and you would have no idea how well he hides that accent. But oh yeah, Jensen is pretty fantastic. It does make me want to see more of him, and I think it's too soon to get into The Boys spoilers here on this stream. Maybe give it another month or two before we can talk about it. As much as I want to talk about it so terribly badly, yeah, Soldier Boy was quite a good character. Jensen was very good. I might have to give I'll give it a try. I'll pop on the pilot. You gotta do the first 2 episodes though. That's the rule with shows, I think. Never trust just the pilot. You gotta watch the first 2 because the pilot just kind of is just a taste test most of the time. Like, the pilot is very rarely a good episode, especially in a season 1, in my opinion. At least from in my experience too. So, but if Supernatural has 15 fucking seasons, then obviously it is quite good, and it's very, very popular. I know that. I started rewatching Ed and Eddie the other night, and that show is kind of I forgot how kind of insane it is in terms of the pacing and like in your face nonstop. At least the first episode was. I was like, Jesus Christ. This is definitely for people with high energy, and that was not me in the moment. So I only watched the first episode. Which the fun thing though about those cartoons was they had like two episodes in one, like at least two stories in one. And I always like to see how the animation progresses. At least in hindsight, it's really fun. Like SpongeBob cleaned up a whole lot as it went on. Family Guy did. Family Guy, the original, like couple seasons look ridiculous if you go back and look at it, like in comparison to what it is now or recently. I don't think Family Guy's done, but the animation difference is pretty wild, really. So, but yeah, Jensen is pretty good, obviously. Oh, there's Marcel. What is up, man? Good to see you here. As he said, LOL. Dana kind of looked like a creep with that Nelk. Dude was unpacking the gift. Yeah, he was very, very excited about it. Like his long lost son that he never had. But we all know that his son is treated quite well by him. So I'd probably get a Dad of the Year award for the 21st birthday he got recently. What, Aiden White? Is that his name? I'm not sure, but yeah, that was Dana was very excited about that. I don't get why he likes those guys so much. I mean, they seem like they're probably fun to hang out with, but again, from my perspective, what I've seen, they don't really do it for me. I like Bob. Like I said, I do like Bob. He's funny and keeps things pretty real generally. But the other guys, I don't know. They're so kind of fratty to me. And not to say that I don't like to party or anything, because that's not true, but just a little too much sometimes, I think. So, Ghost, what is up? Good to see you, sir. Galactus says, have you had your weed yet today for your health? Well, Galactus, I don't smoke very much. Let's see, when was the last time I did? It was probably, it might have been in Texas. No, it was probably after that. But the point is, I don't do it very often. Maybe like once every 2 months or so. And it's usually from mooching off people because I don't care to buy it. So if I get offered, and depending on how I'm feeling, what's going on, sure, I'll do it. Or if I'm super drunk, then I'll get crazy sometimes. But I do remember I for sure did it in Texas for the PFL. Not for the PFL, but when I was there covering the PFL, I indulged a little bit on one of those nights. So yeah. James, good to see you, my friend. Says Drake Riggs is back. Any chance we see you on BTL? Well, that's the whole point of this, as you guys will probably begin to learn. And you missed off the top since it was a little bit of a slow start. That's all right. Appreciate you guys coming on in now, flowing on in. But yes, BTL today. The champ is back defending once again today at 12 p.m. Pacific time over on MMA Fighting's YouTube channel. We'll be going down. So head on over there later today, you guys, and support your boy as we hand Jed another loss. So at this point, I'm over it. This is just what it's going to be. Just reoccurring 60-40s. Let's try and up that number this time. But once again, we'll be taking on Jed. Like, I have nothing more to say about it. It's just, this is just how it is, I guess. So I'm going to be looked at as that champion, unfortunately. The guy who just beats the same person over and over. But hey, easy work. So I guess I can't complain. Jay says, couldn't have given the cash in a briefcase or something, not a Ziploc bag. That is a funny point too. I guess it might have actually looked a little bit weirder though if it wasn't a briefcase, if you think about it that way. But yeah, for a guy as rich as Dana, a Ziploc bag is pretty funny. Right, so Snap, it's Drake doing live chat. Team Magnum, Team Whaley, champion 2020. There you go. What is up? And Galax says, eat some edibles. Well, hey, I mean, I have, man. It's been way longer since I've had an edible. I couldn't tell you the last time that happened. I think the first time I ever tried weed though was with edibles, which if Joe is still here, he was there for it. Was him, and our buddy Nas. We got some donuts from a guy at school, who was really into weed, and yeah, that was a pretty fun night. I didn't really end up feeling them too much. Like, I got super duper warm. That was pretty much all that I remember happened to me. I know Nas tripped out pretty good. I don't remember if Joe had much of any experience there. I think they both maybe had smoked before, but that was my first time. And I've probably only had edible things 2 or 3 times after that, honestly. So that was in like, geez, what year was that? Maybe sophomore year. Joe might know. 2012, maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, I'm not against edibles. Obviously, you have to be very careful with them. But James says, what are your thoughts on Izzy saying in the post-fight that he can do the media's job, but they can't do his? Well, he's literally wrong, right? Like, factually, he's literally wrong. And the thing that I agree and disagree with him, like, obviously, what I just said right there, but I get what he's saying. Like, is it more likely for him to be successful as a media person than a media person to go and be as successful as him? Yeah, he's got a much better shot of that because he can jump into it now. Like, for people, it's most likely far too late for, let's say, myself or whomever else. So in that regard, yes. But in terms of saying that we can't do it, no, I could literally go get a fight right now if I wanted to. Like, that is doable. To go and be a fighter, to be a good one, that's a different thing, right? That's a whole entire different thing. So you can say that about practically anything. But I wasn't offended or anything by his comments. I kind of liked that he said that, even though, there are some holes to be poked through it. I think it's good to call out everybody now and then, and look what it's done. Like, he's gotten so upset with some of the media that he doesn't even do interviews anymore. He has his own channel. So that kind of sucks and shows that, hey, overall, collectively, we should be better. So hopefully, him saying that probably won't, but hopefully it can boost people to be better. Kind of how I look at it. So, and JS says, thoughts on Chatru Sichidong? Seems really polarizing, like a really polarizing figure with all the memes about one's viewership. Well, that certainly adds a little something to it, but Chatri is a character. I think that is probably the best way to describe him. And he's been rather quiet lately, which is pretty interesting considering the Amazon fights coming up, right? But there's been a lot of things that he's done that I'm definitely not fond of. But I don't have anything personally against him. I've heard many a story. But I don't know. Nothing I can go into too much detail about here, but he's a promoter. I guess that's the best way I can put it, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to burn any bridges here today, but people, if you followed me in my career, then you have a good understanding of how I feel about some of Chatri's things that he's done and won championship in general and shadiness, whatnot, rules, yada yada. Chad says, will you be going to Invicta next Wednesday since it's close to your side of the U.S.? Well, it's not necessarily closer. I mean, it is probably the same distance. It's not Denver, is it? But it is Colorado and Missouri, Kansas area. Probably about the same exact distance from me, I would guess. And if they're probably pretty close to the same, if they're not the same. But no, I will not be there next week. I'll be covering Bellator here in the state. So I can drive to that event fight week, thankfully. So that'll be fun. In Tacoma. Pretty darn good card. We got Vanessa Porto, Vida Ortega on there. Tofik making his Bellator debut. That's very exciting. I'm so happy I get to see that in person. Douglas Lima is always a good time. Jason Jackson, that's a fun fight. Sucks that we lost out on Pitbull, but hey, I'm not too broken up about it, especially since I get to drive, like I said. But no, I've never been to an Invicta. I would love to, and that would definitely be a solid one to start when it's somewhere like that. But no, in terms of closeness, unless if they come back to California soon this year, that would be very nice. And then I'd probably do my best to get out to that one, honestly. So we'll see. We will see. And Galactus says, or if I'm drunk, I get a little crazy sometimes. I know how that can be. Yep, for sure. And Rain says, is it against Jed? Yes, it is, because we're going to make you dominate. All right, appreciate it. Yep. Well, that is the case. Let's go for gold once again. Galactus says, Drake is the O'Malley of the MMA fighting competition, only crushing cans. Oh, okay. So reading that, as I was reading that, I was like, I don't know if I like where this is going, but there, I'll take it. I will take it. Even though I don't know if I would say O'Malley's like the guy for that. Michael Venom Page has been much more of a can crusher, and his competition has gotten better over time. But I don't know if I'd say O'Malley is much of a can crusher as people have liked to. Yes, he's got a much easier path than a lot of people, but I don't think he's the definite guy that you would use in that example. But I like the example. I appreciate that, Galactus. I'll take that as a compliment for sure. And hey, I'm not trying to crush the same can over and over, just as how the president keeps matching it up. And Jimmy says, how do you feel about me making jokes about Jed's weight problem? Why does he think you are cheating? Well, that's very mean, Jimmy. I mean, I guess I don't really have a comment on that because it's not very nice. But yeah, unless they're jokes, but it's still, again, about something potentially sensitive to him. I don't know if he sees that stuff or how he feels about it, but that's definitely not very nice. And why he says I'm cheating is just he's having fun with it. Like this whole thing, it's always out of fun, you guys. We've talked about this last time. And Zhao, Drake is the best. I will spoil your day. Thank you so much, Zhao. Good to see you. And James says, also, what was your emotional reaction to Izzy's idea that the media can't do his job? So I pretty much answered that already. James, well, what you asked about that, my emotional reaction, it was, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was, I didn't have anything too big of a crazy reaction to it, aside from, the feelings I already expressed. So, yeah, it was what it was. And Galactus says, I would buy a pay-per-view of a Drake fight. All right. Well, hey, then maybe I'll have to consider just to make some easy money. Not that I'd win or anything, but, like the fact that you'd be tuning in. That's very nice. Got to give the people what they want, right? Supply and demand. Makoto, good to see you. This is hi, Drake. You mentioned Adesanya doesn't do media because it pissed him off. Is the same with Whaley, after all the false headlines about her. Well, I've never seen or heard Whaley saying that she was like mad about it, and I guess Adesanya hasn't either. But I think there's definitely good reason to believe at this point that she doesn't like to do media as much, especially with international media, since she's gotten more famous and things have happened and whatnot. But at the same time, like I always say to you guys, people are lazy and they don't like to go out of their way to talk to people they can't directly communicate with. So what I'm talking about is needing interpreters, translators. Whaley doesn't speak perfect English at this exact moment. Yes, she can speak pretty good English, at least last we heard. But if you need to use a translator, that is one little hoop that a lot of people don't like to go through. So I think it's, I don't know if about 50-50 in that area, but surely a mixed bag of both of those things. So JS says, have you noticed the boom in MMA betting and how negatively it's affecting fighters? A lot of them recently getting abused online from losing bettors. Yeah, Jessie Jess, our good friend, she got some bullshit about that. It's very stupid. People are fucking insane and stupid as they can possibly be. Like, you did it, man. You did it. They didn't have you bet on them. You did that. Like, it drives me insane, really. I don't know if I've noticed a boom in MMA betting, and I guess the negativity specifically is kind of what you're mentioning here. But yeah, no, it's disgusting. It's fucking pathetic, really. People who that's people with gambling issues. Clearly, if you're not admitting your own fault and understanding kind of the situation, and just being a piece of shit because you are one, I guess. I don't know. I have nothing good to say about people who do that kind of thing, who get mad and harass fighters or people they bet on for them losing when you're the fucking idiot who bet on them in the first place. Like, get a fucking grip, man. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed a big difference, honestly. It happens, unfortunately. Maybe it's just it got really highlighted, obviously, with the Jesse thing. And rightfully so. Fuck that guy. And goes, says, how funny would it be if Dana said the UFC strawweight championship fight with Whaley and Carla will be at Singapore again? Yeah, I don't know if that would be very funny. I think it's safe to expect it to be. Well, I don't know. There's only the one planned Abu Dhabi card, right? So I don't think they'll be going back to Singapore this year. I guess that would be interesting if that does happen, but I don't expect it to. So we'll see. And what they announced, excuse me, New York the other day, or didn't announce it, but it got reported. Shout out to Nolan King, I think it was. Oh yeah. Galactus says Israel is not doing himself any favors by avoiding media. I think yes and no. Like, it doesn't really matter for him anymore at this stage, and the kind of star that he is now. But it always helps to get as much exposure as possible, right? So I agree from that end. And he's kind of getting people turned on him because of his recent performances and continuing to kind of say some of the things he said. So I guess I see what you're saying, but ultimately he doesn't really need to anymore. He's at the top of the mountain, you know. JS says, do you think Miesha Tate retires with a loss on Saturday? I think it's pretty possible. I really do. I think she is still interested in a Holly rematch just for fun, I guess. It makes more sense for Holly to want that, obviously, for losing. But I don't know if I'm ready to definitively say she retires with a loss, but very solid chance, I would say, especially if it's like one-sided. Alvin, my man, good to see you. Good morning. Yes, good morning indeed. We are all supporting you. Oh, too kind. I appreciate it greatly. And Go says, what are your thoughts on Jed not knowing the difference between strategy and tactics as seen in his analysis of Adesanya versus Cannonier? Well, I did not check out his analysis, Go, so I have no comment on that. But I'm curious now, judging by your opinion, so I'll have to check it out at some point. Maybe. Chaz says, thoughts on Jocelyn Edwards replacing Maria Agapova against Kim? Seems like it sucked a good bit of wind out of that fight. Yeah, I would agree with that. And, you know, I think we'll save that for next week because that obviously will be a topic to talk about next week on WMA Mania. But yeah, I agree for the most part there. As I have an email. Ooh, very nice. I like to see that. Sorry, just payday is all. So, where are we? Jimmy says, what does it mean to have a chip on one's shoulder? I hear that about some fighters all the time. Kind of like a little extra something to prove, a little extra motivation, whether they're being doubted by a bunch of people or some kind of situation that they're not getting the proper credit they believe they deserve for. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to think of an example here of someone with a big chip on their shoulder or who's come off that way. I'm not sure. Nothing's coming directly to mind, but yeah, that's kind of what that means. Oh, I like this question. JS says, how would you rank these flyweight prospects right now? O'Neal, Barber, Maverick, Blanchfield. All right. So, at this point, I don't think O'Neal is a prospect anymore, but I'm still going to play along with the question, obviously, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Blanchfield is like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to push her right over. I mean, great win against JJ. I mean, had some struggles in the first round, but finished her, so that was good. Maverick, yes, still. Barber, she's kind of middle, kind of on the cusp as well, I think, still, where you could say that. But I think O'Neal's the most proven, so I'd keep her at number one right there for sure. Then, so it's interesting, actually, when I look at it, like who's the best right now? That's how I'm going to answer this. O'Neal, I'd probably say Barber. I've thought she's looked great in her last two fights. Then Blanchfield, Maverick, pretty obviously there. Have to have Blanchfield above Maverick considering how they did. But then in terms of potential, you guys all know. If you know me, Erin Blanchfield, I think I have so much high hopes for her. I'd put her at number one. I'd probably then do O'Neal, Barber. Well, Maverick may be ahead of Barber just because of how their fight went. So, yeah. In terms of where they're at right at this exact moment, I say O'Neal, Barber, Blanchfield, Maverick. But in terms of potential, for me, Blanchfield, O'Neal, Maverick, Barber are pretty interchangeable, I think. So yeah, I like questions like that, JS. Thank you. Chaz says fighters need to grow up and understand that they need the media just like the media needs them. That is a good point. Yeah, that is very true. Very true, actually. And Galactus says, how does Sonya can't do Chris Pratt's job? Well, again, like I said, he literally can, but he doesn't mean he can do it good. It does not at all mean he can do it good. So, yeah. As Rain says, thoughts on Carla being terrified to fight Whaley? Well, I think we've talked about this a couple of times as well, but I don't think she's terrified. I don't think she's terrified. I mean, look at some of the people she's fought in her career already. She's just going off of situations and whatnot, and yeah, where they are right now. Don't think she's terrified. I mean, these are fighters, you know. Anybody who gets into a cage to compete is a psycho, and in a little bit of a way, and not scared of anybody. So that's kind of how I feel about that. I don't like to say any fighter's scared of anybody, really, because I just simply don't believe that's true. Look at what they fucking do. And Jay says, I think Dern leapfrogs Rodriguez for the title shot if she beats Jan in the main event. Agree? I fucking hope not, man. I would be so livid. That would be insane. That would be completely insane. Like, that is boycott worthy, in my opinion. You guys know that I think Marina should get the title shot next already, but if that happens, that's insane. And there is a chance, I guess, that is possible, but I'd be kind of surprised. Marina's managed to stay somewhat in the headlines, at least around Dana, and but for her best interest, it might be good to take another fight, which kind of sucks, but we'll see. You know, to avoid that from happening, get another win. But I don't know, the only person who would be against is Rose, right? So tough one, but fun one, very fun one. That'd be an amazing fight. But I don't even want to think about that, JS. So Jiaonan, we stand. So Galaxy says Whaley seems a hell of a lot stronger than when she fights in Asia. I mean, she has admitted, and she knows that her performances have been better historically outside of the States. So yeah, her performance is generally very good. I mean, it's just how it has been, really. So Chad says MSG just got announced for November. Yep, I mentioned that a little bit. Great spot for Sparza Zhang. Yeah, that makes sense. Wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, I don't know if a fight like that probably, like, most likely will not be a good fight, you know, in terms of a competitive back and forth. I mean, again, I think that Carla can surprise and definitely do better than a lot of people are giving her credit for, just based off her wrestling alone. But more likely than not, should be one-sided for Whaley. So I don't know if the UFC feels comfortable in believing in that, if they want to gamble on, you know, Esparza stifling Whaley. I don't know if they'd want that. You know what I mean? Like, they usually stack up the MSG cards with big, good fights. And, like, realistically, chances of Whaley and Carla probably won't be a good fight. I mean, definitely, we know it's not going to be like Joanna and Whaley won. So that's kind of what I mean. So it makes me wonder if they would want to put it there. Timing wise, yeah, that's fine. But I'm just thinking about the whole New York, Madison Square Garden element. And Makoto says, what are the topics that will be covered on BTL so we can support you better? Well, that is definitely spoilers, and I'm not going to say exactly what the questions are, but I'll tease you a little bit. I mean, just think about the things that are happening in the MMA world recently. Nate Diaz is in the news again. Rafael Fiziev had a great win. Some silly boxing stuff is going down. What, next month? UFC Long Island. Like, There's some things. Oh, as I got a hair compliment from my friend Nyla. How kind. You're watching. I'm responding to you right now. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm getting a little distracted. It's my show. It's just a random Q&A. It is what it is. What do we got here? Al, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Said, yo, Drake, see your tweets getting shown on UFC? Yeah, I mean, they pick them up every now and then. I generally don't tweet too much generic bullshit, which is what they typically like to put on there if you kind of notice the theme. But, usually for the women's fights, I'll put in a little bit more something, or they'll take the reactions and whatnot, which, is what it is. It's nice to get noticed, though. Good to be seen. But yeah, that's always fun. And JS says, who's your personal pound for pound number 1 to 3? Well, I'm assuming you mean currently, right? Currently, let's look at, let me see what the UFC is rocking with here right now, just to do a comparison. I'm not a big pound for pound guy, honestly, but I think Kamaru and Volkanovski are obviously in there. They have Adesanya at 3. I don't know. I'd probably put Volkanovski at number 1. I guess you'd have to do Usman right behind him, right? 3, that's a weird spot, though. You know what? I'm gonna say Oliveira. Actually, I've been as great as Adesanya is. Obviously, I mean, my God, Charles Oliveira is just fucking insane, man. Like he does everything great now and finishes everybody. What his only non-finish in his winning streak right now is Tony Ferguson, I think. Like, it's insane. As good as he is, he's not finishing guys the way Oliveira is. So, you know what? I might honestly even put Oliveira over Usman because of that. Like, Usman's beating all the same guys. Oliveira's beating a bunch of fresh dudes he's never fought before. And this was an argument I made recently on Twitter about Usman. Well, I've long said that GSP is the greatest fighter of all time, and so he's the best welterweight as well. And it's kind of silly still to say Usman is. I mean, you look at, he's having all these rematches already, and that's, not his fault technically, but he got to beat more people, in my opinion. Again, not his fault, but I don't know. That's the top 3 for me. I'd probably keep Volkanovski number 1, and you can swap Usman and Oliveira, but my goodness, some talented dudes up there. Smakoto says, do you know about the Heavy Hands boys? I also like their analysis. I've heard of them. I have never listened to them, and I'm not even sure who is a part of the show, actually. So I've heard of them. I know that people like them a lot. And Rain says, why do people think Weili versus Marina is a good fight? Marina is the worst version of Joanna, and we saw that what Weili did to Joanna. Name one specific thing that Marina can trouble Weili. Well, disagree. I think that would definitely be a good fight. And Marina being the worst version of Joanna. I mean, is she though? That's kind of a hard thing to say. Unless you're looking at, if you're meaning like prime Joanna, then, well, obviously anyone who fights like her is going to be the worst version because she was the best there was. But now, if they were to have fought instead, would have bet on Marina in that one, and she probably would have been fine there, as we saw how Joanna performed, kind of. No, it is a very good fight. And one specific thing that Marina can trouble Weili with. I mean, she can trouble her with many things, right? That's the thing here, Rain. Fighters who maybe you're not necessarily better than somebody in, let's just say any area, they can still provide trouble to someone. That doesn't mean they will win or do well and, all that kind of thing. But Marina can have success against Weili, of course. Specifically, I mean, Yes, we know that Whaley is very good in the clinch, but Marina can do some damage there as well. I mean, she has the length advantages. She can fight from range. There are some things. And again, would she win? Would she be expected to win? Probably not, and probably shouldn't be, as Whaley continues to mix up her game and threaten with wrestling and whatnot, and just overall being very talented. So, of course, she'd be favored in that one, but can Marina provide her with trouble? Of course. I mean, look at the power that she has, what she's done in the division. Just overall, she has really only been tested by Zhao Nan in the striking department, if you think about it. And Marina's very good. Marina's quite good. A lot of the strawweights are pretty darn good, actually. As Jay says, who is managing Jessica Andrade's career? She could be one fight away from a title shot at 115. She's going to Paris to fight Fiorello. I think that has nothing to do with Jessica's management. I think that is all her, honestly. And I know her manager and haven't talked to him in a good while, but I think that's just her wanting to stay active and do that kind of stuff, really. So, yeah, she's crazy. She's crazy. As James says, should we give credit to Carla for the most boring fight in MMA history? You could. Even though, again, as we talked about right after that fight, like they're both guilty, her and Rose, but I put much more of the blame on Rose for that fight sucking. Like, really, guys, like, and I haven't seen too many people, at least immediately after, giving shit to Carla, because Rose openly admitted that the fight, how it went, was her strategy. And we always know Carla wants to wrestle. And she did attempt to, and she got some moments there. But I think more of the blame falls on Rose for sure in that fight, being shitty. Because Carla was at least trying to get close and make something happen there. Whereas that was not quite the same. And Galactus, very interesting, says as far as the wins in the West, Whaley wins in the East. Don't know about that. I think Whaley probably wins in either hemisphere. But obviously there are the advantages as far as is more favored. It's better for preparation and depending on where the fight is, right? Like that's kind of the thing I think people can take away from that. So JS says, do you think we will see the UFC Apex hosting cards in 2023? Yeah. Probably a lot less, but yeah, I think very safe to say. Galax says, Carla is a better wrestler and more championship experience, plus is a veteran in general. She can win. So I agree with you there that she's the better wrestler. I mean, that's historically 100% true. More championship experience. That I don't think is true, though. I mean, if you look at it, it's probably about even in overall title fights. I mean, Whaley's Kunlun fights, I can't remember off the top of my head how many she had, but Carla was obviously just had this recent one, had the first UFC one, Invicta champ. That's like it, though. I don't remember how many times she defended the Invicta title, but it's probably about even, if not more, championship experience in favor of Whaley, actually. UFC, though, then it's about even as well. Maybe 3 title fights for Carla. And then, no, Whaley's had the 1, 2, 3, 4... 5 now? No. There was Joanna, Rose, Andrade. They're even. They each have, well, no, because Carla has the 3. So yeah, I mean, that's the championship experience, not true. So got you there, Galactus. But wrestler, yeah, of course. And yeah, she has a chance for sure. Just because of that. Simply because of that. As Takaro Man 91, good to see you, says, what is more likely to happen, Rousey versus Crono or McGregor versus Paul? Oof, hopefully neither. But I think I would actually say McGregor versus Paul. Just look at all of the things that both Ronda and Gina are tied up in. I don't think they'll either be fighting ever again, and they've just been talking about that. I don't think that's very realistic, though. She says, how do you think this Nate Diaz saga ends? They still have GSP iced 5 years on from his retirement. Well, yeah, but I mean, GSP doesn't want to come back. But for Nate, He'll fight. He will end up fighting probably Connor, and that'll be that. And I don't really care. So I'm not a Diaz fan. Makoto says, do you find it funny that Carla is ranked below on the UFC pound for pound rankings? What do you mean? Below who? Need more context there, Makoto. Ghost says, thoughts on Weili being accused of PEDs after improving her wrestling, but when another fighter makes improvements, media say it's about hard work. Fair? No, totally ridiculous. You guys know how I feel about performance-enhancing drug accusations. They are silly and stupid unless... It looks like I'm having a technical issue. Apologies. No, there we go. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, no. Performance-enhancing drug accusations are silly and stupid, especially in this day and age. So yeah, no, not fair at all, pretty much. And Alvin says, Drake, would you ever go to Bangtao to train and talk to fighters? I heard from Nick Atkin that it's an awesome place to meet a lot of fighters with interesting stories. Would I? Yeah, I mean, sure, that'd be a cool thing to do. Absolutely. But will I? Doesn't seem all too likely at the moment. So I have to continue leaning on Nick for that kind of stuff. And Al says, how do you think Dakota will do in her UFC debut moving from Invicta? I think she should do pretty great. I love Jessica Penne as well. I think she will present some tough challenges. But yeah, Dakota is very, very good. One of the best in the world, no doubt. So she will do very good, I think, whether she wins or loses this fight. But she's rightfully favored. As much as I love Penne again. And Jay says, have I noticed the response to this most recent tough has been the weakest yet? Should it get scrapped? Well, I think that goes without saying. I haven't been watching. I've had no interest in this season. I've been interested in kind of the women's results, but even then I just can't get myself to watch it. I really can't. Like, I think it helped when it was on TV for me, but going out of my way to stream it, I don't know. And Chad says, who in the media is making PED accusations towards Weili? Well, it kind of depends on who you consider media. I know that the Weasel said something, but I do not consider him media. So yeah. Makoto says Carla being ranked below Weili and Rose in the UFC pound for pound. Is she really? Below Rose? That's fucking dumb if that's true. Let me look at this. I mean, it's dumb to be below both of them, actually. Let me see this. Where are we? Wow, she is. That makes no sense. I mean, we know MMA math is silly, but in this case, like, it's pretty clear when Rose beat Weili, Carla beat Rose. That's really funny. Like, what's the point of even doing them then? Like, they have her at number one. Well, I guess they don't technically have her at number one at strawweight. They just have her as the champion. But how does that even work? That doesn't make sense to me. That's silly, for sure. You got to be consistent with your rankings. Come on. Galactus says, deep tough. A lot of great fighters have come from there, and I love learning the fighter stories. All right, there you go. Jamie says, are you familiar with Jason Williams on Twitter? I don't know him, but I've seen him for sure. Ghost says, I saw the Bloody Elbow episode about Weili on PED sensor wrestling improvements since Jin recommended it. Since when does PEDs make your wrestling better? Well, here's the thing, right, Ghost? Like, it's the age-old argument is PEDs don't make any of your skills better, but they make you stronger. And depending on what they are for, they limit recovery time and give you more time to improve your skills. So that's the thing. They obviously don't make the specific skill better, but they give you a better ability to make it better. That's the thing about it. Isaiah says, do you think that Dana White Contender Series experience was watered down by Dana signing almost every winner on the show? Do you think we see less of that? Yes, and then no. I think it totally watered it down. It goes, says Drake, now you see why I hate making lists or even looking at them. Well, yeah, I mean, I know some of them are not great, that is for sure, but All right, you guys. Well, I'm all caught up there, so and a little hungry. Probably gonna get some breakfast before the show, before BTL. So if you missed me saying that at any point today, right now, in this last hour, appreciate you so much for tuning in, first of all. But we will be over at MA Fighting for Between the Links at 12. So in about an hour and 8 minutes. It'll be fun to get another W over Mr. Michoud, the only guy they can find to be competitive with me, I guess. And he's still not competitive at all. So that'll be good fun. Champ looking for yet another title defense. We're going to hang out and sing for as long as we possibly can, boys and girls, whomever. And then, yeah, of course, always stay locked into MAMania.com for all your MMA needs, you guys. As you can see there at the bottom, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DrakeRiggs_. I don't really know why I shouldn't have the banner on here when my name tag is there too, right? Kind of counterproductive, or just spamming it in your face. But either way, appreciate everyone for tuning in, especially on little random hangouts like these. And the music stopped, it sounds like, at some point during this, so I apologize for that. I wanted to keep that going the whole time. What the hell? It's on the loop. It is on the loop. That's dumb. Why did it stop? Oh, well. There, I can start it back up, though, right? Yeah. Weird. That's weird. Either way. Stay tuned. MA Fighting later today, and then MAMania.com for everything always. So, yeah, you guys know I do like to do these kind of random Q&As to talk about absolutely whatever. I really enjoy talking about the non-anime stuff too. So if you guys ever want to talk about that, please let me know. Like I talked about a little bit of video game stuff off the top here, just as I was waiting for people to roll in. But yeah, I think I will try to do these before every BTL just to get us like, hyped up and ready, just to have a little pre-game action fun. But yeah, whenever I get some time and I'm in the mood, I'm down for these. If I don't have anything going on, you guys know how I am. So either way, appreciate you all so much. And of course, WMA Mania on Monday. Actually, I should mention this. Next Monday, this upcoming Monday for WMA Mania episode, 21, might actually be at an earlier time. Might be an hour early. So might be 11, which is about to be that exact time here at the moment. But yeah, might be an hour early because of other interview stuff. So I will just stay tuned for that. And as Galactus leaves us on simulation theory is a nice conversation to talk about. Well, we can get into that next time. And that's a doozy. That's quite a doozy and something I do have thoughts on for sure. But all right, guys, I will see you hopefully in an hour. Be there or be square. And if not, then I will see you next Monday as well, or whenever. Appreciate y'all the same. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.